Do you ever wonder what will be the hardest thing you ever have to do, or the things that you have to do? Join me as we discuss this, because it might not be what you think. Hello, hello, hello. I'm Reverend Sharon Renee. Welcome to this week's Sunday Inspiration through Spiritually Centered. Now, have you ever thought about the hardest things you think you have to do, or that doing something is the hardest thing? Like it might be telling somebody the truth, or it might be giving up a resignation. Having those things, we always think are the hardest things. But the hardest things I'm talking about are the things that we need to do in order to spiritually grow, in order to spiritually align ourselves, in order to move the door open to create a wonderful flow of health, abundance, and joy. So what are some of those things that we have to do? Well, they're really, really hard. That's why I'm calling it the hardest things you'll ever have to do, because these are the things that we resist. So the first one is to love the unlovable. To step into that place and to love those people that you don't think deserve it. So if you are having issues with what's going on in the world, what's going on in our nation, and we're keeping score, I've never done that, okay? We have to learn to love the unlovable. We have to learn to accept the unacceptable. And what I mean by that is, I often will say, well, that's unacceptable. But I have to accept that a person or a situation is not going to change. What's going to change is me changing how I see that. And just like loving the unlovable is when I can step into a place of love, and if I believe that all that is good in me, then I have to believe and accept that all is good in someone else so I can love them. Doesn't mean I have to agree, right? But of loving them and accepting them for who they are, because we want them to change. We want outside things to change, and so that we can feel happy about it. And you know, it's kind of interesting because we can be, it's in our minds, it's not a selfish act to tell somebody that they need to change because it would really make you feel better. And you're kind of like saying, I'm not controlling, and I'm not the one that's unlovable, and if you do what I want, you're doing it because you love me and you'll make me feel better. I'm not being selfish in that at all about requesting that you change. Think about that a little bit. So loving the unlovable, accepting the unacceptable, and forgiving the unforgivable. And I know I've had many conversations with people over the years that are hurting and in pain, but they will say, I cannot forgive them. They did the unforgivable. They were wrong. But here's the thing. When we forgive someone for the unforgivable, it's not for them. It's for you. It's for us. Because that lets go of a burden to move us forward. And those are the things that we need to do, and there's probably a lot more, right? But we have to learn to love the unlovable, to forgive the unforgivable, to accept the unacceptable. Those things are the hardest because it is ingrained in us that we can hold that contrast and we can focus on all the things that make us miserable and cause us to be resentful. Therefore, it stops our forward momentum. And it's a practice. And it's okay to practice it. And it's okay to feel bad about things. It's okay, because at least you're having a feeling, right? And so anger leads to the openness for resentment. Resentment leads for the openness of wanting peace and wanting something different. So in doing these things can be very important in our ability to move forward. So what have we learned, right? What have we learned? That to learn to love the unlovable, to accept the unacceptable, which also means loving somebody where they're at, accepting them for who they are. And we're not in their heads, we're not in their lives, we don't know all that's going on, right? And to forgive the unforgivable. And that can be a person, a situation, something that you feel is very horrendous. But when there's forgiveness, it opens up the way for love. So feel free to comment below. Tell me what you think, what you're having problems with, how you might feel about this, so that we can continue this discussion. But love is the answer. Love is the answer. So here is to our investigating these hardest things that we'll ever have to do and our willingness to participate in them. Have a great day and namaste.